Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our third last session, I believe, before our closing for the first day of the photo symposium. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Granny Setswe. Granny has completed a PhD in curriculum studies at UNISA in 2020. She has vast experience as an instructional designer working in corporate sectors and for higher education institutions. Her thesis focused on the use of mobile learning technologies for the professional development of academics, for which she received a merit certificate for the initiative using WhatsApp group chat for staff development at the University of Brighton, United Kingdom. She's currently a senior instructional designer at TUT. Over to you, Granny.
Thank you, Eugenie. I'm trying to share my video. It doesn't allow me. Hope it's fine. I can continue without a video. Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share with you the experiences and lessons learned during the design, development, and facilitation of fully online distance education modules at TUT. Just a disclaimer. This is it's not a research. There's no research conducted for this presentation. It's just a reflection from instructional design perspective and lecture perspective. With this, I'm going to share with you the background, the purpose, the experience during design and development and during the facilitation, and some challenges and lesson learned and the conclusion. In terms of background, we all know due to COVID-19, most of the university had to forced to come up with a new alternative or to deliver teaching and learning. So they had to come up with a new instructional process for fully online distance through mobile or through fully online distance. And then for fully online learning provides learner-centered education and is accessible learning environment. And it is also effective to keep the student retention and maintaining access to learning. The purpose of this presentation, like I indicated, no research was conducted for this one. It's just to share our experiences that we learned during the development, design, and facilitation of the fully online learning modules from instructional designer and lecturer perspective, as well as the experiences during facilitation, and also to contribute, reflect, and add to communal theory of practice in support of the new initiative proposed by this symposium. So in terms of the experiences, our experience is in terms of how the team engaged during the design and development of the online programs. There were external and internal instructional designers that work together with the inclusion of the module lecturer or the the facilitator, as well as the review team that will are supposed to review the content at the end of the session of the module development. So the engagement here indicates that everyone knew what is expected of them. And then again, the experience was on the role players, people who were responsible on our team. Like I indicated, we had internal instructional designers as well as lecturers who were our subject matter experts. At some point we will have some subject head as well as the LMS administrator for support for the LMS in terms of any technicalities that the lecturer or as instructor can experience. So in this, the experience here is the roles and responsibilities were outlined from the onset, that everyone knew what is expected of them. And then another thing that we experienced is how the project was planned. The project management was clear to all of us. We had weekly meetings via Zoom between the lecturer, the two instructional designers, or any other person that will be needed for that meeting, and as well as the project reporting using template, as well as the continuous contact that we usually communicate via email or telephone or WhatsApp in terms of anything that needed to be communicated. So everyone knew their role and what to do. Okay. In terms of the design framework, we employed the instructional design methodology, even though it was not something that when we sit down, when we start, we say, this is what we're doing. It was behind the scene where everybody knew what to do. And during the analysis, the instructional designers knew that they have to review modules, and when the lecturers are completing the various templates that we used, and ensure that the modules outcomes and weekly outcomes are aligned. And then again, we designed to provide guidance on different types of media that was used, and ensure that all assessment activities are per the plan as designed and developed, as per they were designed and developed, as well as the development phase, where now the content will be put or developed on the LMS by the instructional designer, and all the activities created, assessment activities, the development of lecture videos, whether it will be the lecturer or the instructional designer will help. And the structure here was there was a structure that was followed, even though it was not something that was at the beginning discussed or say this is how we going to follow. That is the end-to-end process was followed. Module execution. What we experience is during the module execution, during the implementation, review was done, like I indicated, there was that review team. The review was done firstly internally during the development, and for implementation, before the review was done externally. Q&A feedback will be given so that we can update what needed to be done, and update the module and prepare the module for online, and the online facilitation training for facilitators were conducted. And the rollout or go live period will be now ready. There will be a communication that will go out. Facilitators will now, after their training, after communication to the student, as well as the welcome of the student by the lecturer, and then the facilitation will continue. The support will be from the retention center, where they do check-in from students and check their progress and highlight anything that needs to be done, as well as the ID. Both the IDs will ensure that the learning progress is in order and things are going as planned. And then at the end and the closure of the module, the ID will check in with the facilitator on the progress, and also the LMS administrator will be also made us aware that the time for learning is process is coming to an end, and ensure that the students are all completed their work, and then a module will be prepared for the next rollout. And then in this process, the proper planning was there, and that brought success of module execution. Challenges that we experienced. We encountered challenges like the capacity from the side of the lecturers. There were times that we find the lecturer, due to workload that is high, there's a delay to complete some task or to mark, and as well as the working students that most of them, they were working students, so the life-work balance issues was what we experienced, and also low student enrollment numbers. We had to change some activities at the end, like drop some activities, assessment activities, for example, group discussions. And the lesson learned from the whole exercise, that we need to have a theoretical framework, we need to have a teamwork and cooperation, get cooperation from the lecturers and students. The template approach is more efficient in the design and development of modules, because it gives order and it gives, you know what to do and what is expected of you. And also use of elements of ID model or methodology to guide the design and development process was handy. And then for future interventions, I think we'll continue with what worked during the lessons that we learned, and we will drop what didn't work and improve lesson learned for future. In conclusion, what we experience is it is important to have engagement process. It is key to identify key roles players. There's a need to have a project plan to manage the progress, and plan to have a project execution that needs to be planned properly, and acknowledge lesson learned, and lastly improve from the lesson that one has learned. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Granny, for your presentation. We'll now open the floor for questions, so you're welcome to either post in the chat pane, or you can switch on your mic and directly ask a question for Granny. I see a number of thank yous are coming in. Maybe Granny, from my side, we see that the lecturers are also experiencing lots of challenges in terms of workload, already having academic commitments for the face-to-face programs, research, community engagement, and so on. How is TUT dealing with that, and how have you been able to overcome it?
You know, Eugene, that has been a problem, and is a real situation where the lecturers do have that commitment, except the commitment of research or any other commitment. They do also, most of the lecturers that were developing with us fully online courses, they also had face-to-face classes. So I wouldn't really say we had a solution at that time. However, the lecturers did their best to help as far as they could, and they were able to manage in the 8-week course, 8-week time that we had for every situation. So I think Dr. Sussman also had a hand. I don't know whether he will give a direct answer, but they did their best. As far as I know, they still had an issue when we were still developing. I don't know whether it's you are fine with the answer, Eugenie.
Yes, thank you, Granny. Dr. Sesamane?
Thank you, Chair and colleagues. Yes, just to add on what Dr. Setswe have just indicated in terms of the workload. Yes, indeed, each and every institution, or mostly here at TUT, we have the workload model for each and every lecture to deliver the services as expected. And coming to that particular aspect, we find that where a need arises, we either appoint the same lecturer for the secondary appointment, of which that particular work then it will be done during her private work, time, to accommodate the workload gap, or maybe we outsource that to maybe the other provider who can assist in terms of writing with the specific subject matter expert, as the part-time lecturers. So that's how we actually address the issue of the workload in this particular space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Any other questions for Granny from our participants? You're welcome to switch on your mics. Then just a final question from my side, Granny. In terms of the length of the process, how have your teams been managing with the design and the development work after the conceptualization? Have you got a rough estimate of the timelines that TUT has dedicated to the design and development work?
Yes, like I indicated, we'll have we will have the timelines indicated at the beginning. How long? Let's say for 2 weeks we'll be doing this. 3 weeks we'll be doing this, and when exactly should the development be completed? So we knew if it's 3 weeks, at the beginning, that the date for the go live is already communicated. So if it's November, we know that 2 weeks. If it's 3 weeks, we have to work on the 3 weeks, make sure that we complete the development at the right time.
Thank you very much, Granny. We then have a 4-minute break before our next presenter, Mr. Donald